The day the Dragon poked the Eagle. In the dead of night, deep in the South China Sea, radar screens lit up aboard a U.S. Navy destroyer. Unknown contacts were closing in fast. Multiple Chinese warships, drones, and electronic interference flooding the airwaves. What happened next wasn't a drill. It was China's boldest move yet, a direct test of America's naval defenses. But in trying to expose U.S. weaknesses, Beijing may have made the single biggest strategic mistake of its modern military era. Introduction: the day China pushed too far. For decades, the United States Navy has been the undisputed ruler of the seas. From the Cold War to the modern era, America's aircraft carriers, nuclear submarines, and advanced destroyers have projected unmatched power across the globe. But in recent years, one rival has emerged with a bold mission: to challenge that dominance head-on. That rival is China. What began as a slow, cautious modernization of the People's Liberation Army Navy plan has transformed into a full-speed sprint toward cutting-edge weaponry, naval expansion, and an aggressive testing program aimed directly at America's most prized assets. In the past year, China has not only tested the boundaries of international law in contested waters, it has tested the very defenses of the U.S. Navy itself. But in doing so, Beijing may have made a critical miscalculation, because in the high-stakes chess game of modern naval warfare, pushing too far, too soon, can awaken a sleeping giant, the rise of a naval challenger. 20 years ago, the idea of China directly challenging the U.S. Navy seemed unrealistic. The plan was largely a regional force, with outdated ships and limited reach. But today, it boasts the largest number of naval vessels in the world, backed by state-of-the-art missile systems, drone technology, and advanced surveillance networks. The transformation hasn't been random. It's been part of a carefully orchestrated strategy: develop weapons specifically designed to destroy America's carrier strike groups. These floating fortresses, long considered the backbone of U.S. military power, have now become the bullseye in China's crosshairs. Testing the carrier killers, mock battles in the desert, deep in the barren stretches of the Taklamakan Desert, far from any ocean, China has built something extraordinary: full-scale replicas of U.S. aircraft carriers and destroyers. These life-size mock targets are used to test and calibrate missiles, particularly the feared DF-21D and DF-26, nicknamed carrier killers. By firing at exact duplicates of American ships, Chinese engineers are perfecting missile guidance systems that could hit moving targets at sea with deadly precision. The message is clear: if a U.S. carrier comes within range, China wants to be able to take it out in minutes. The kill web experiment, a trap at sea. Perhaps the most chilling insight into China's evolving naval strategy came from recent wargame simulations that revealed its new integrated defense network in action. In one particularly unsettling scenario, a single Chinese Type 055 Renhai-class destroyer became the nerve center of a coordinated onslaught. This was no ordinary defensive posture. Acting like a spider at the center of its web, the destroyer directed an intricate ballet of autonomous drones, unmanned surface vessels, and land-based missile batteries, all feeding real-time targeting data into a shared combat AI. The result was what military analysts now call a kill web, a defense so layered and dynamic that it didn't just block attacks, it crushed them before they could strike. In the simulation, volleys of incoming missiles, including US-style Tomahawks and advanced long-range anti-ship weapons, were detected, jammed, intercepted, or lured off course in rapid succession. Drones operated in overlapping patrol patterns, plugging gaps before they could form, while unmanned boats harassed and distracted potential attackers. The entire system reacted in seconds, creating a shifting, invisible minefield across the water. For decades, U.S. naval doctrine rested on a simple assumption: no matter the defense, enough firepower could break through. But this test revealed a dangerous new reality, one in which China's kill web could repel even synchronized strikes from multiple American warships, rendering traditional offensive strategies far less effective. It was more than a defense system. It was a maritime fortress, constantly moving, constantly adapting. And it may have just rewritten the rulebook for naval warfare. Hypersonic missiles, the 20-minute threat. If the kill web wasn't enough, China's hypersonic missile program adds a terrifying new dimension. These weapons, capable of traveling more than 5 times the speed of sound, can maneuver mid-flight, making them almost impossible to track and intercept. Military analysts warn that in a real conflict, hypersonic missiles could strike U.S. carriers within 20 minutes of launch, giving commanders barely enough time to react. Even the Navy's most advanced Aegis defense systems would struggle against such fast, unpredictable threats. This isn't just theory. China has already conducted live fire tests of these weapons, and their success rate is raising eyebrows in Pentagon war rooms, a direct challenge in the South China Sea. On August 13, 2025, tensions boiled over. The U.S. destroyer USS Higgins sailed into contested waters near Scarborough Shoal, an area claimed by China but recognized internationally as disputed territory. According to Chinese military reports, their forces drove away the American ship after a tense standoff. While the U.S. Navy downplayed the event, eyewitness accounts from regional fishing vessels describe Chinese ships shadowing the Higgins, making aggressive maneuvers, and broadcasting warnings over open channels. This was no accidental encounter. It was a deliberate show of force, the strategic miscalculation. China's decision to directly test U.S. naval defenses might seem like a show of confidence, but it carries serious risks. By pushing so aggressively, Beijing may have underestimated how quickly and decisively the U.S. can adapt. The U.S. Navy still has unmatched global reach, nuclear-powered carriers, and decades of combat experience. And historically, America's military has thrived when challenged, using each confrontation as a catalyst for rapid innovation. Already, sources within the Pentagon suggest that new anti-drone systems, hypersonic interceptors, and electronic warfare upgrades are being accelerated in response to these Chinese tests. Why this could backfire on China. Intelligence exposure. By showcasing its kill web and missile capabilities so openly, China risks revealing its tactics, allowing U.S. analysts to develop countermeasures. International backlash. Aggressive actions in disputed waters strengthen alliances against China, giving the U.S. more regional support from nations like Japan, Australia, and the Philippines. Economic risks. Any escalation at sea could trigger sanctions or trade disruptions, directly threatening China's export-driven economy. The next phase, U.S. response. While official statements remain cautious, U.S. defense planners are already mapping out counter-strategies. Expect to see increased carrier escorts, more destroyers and submarines accompanying carriers to provide layered defense. Enhanced anti-missile technology, the development of next-generation interceptors designed for hypersonic threats. Drone supremacy, a counter-swarm doctrine using AI-controlled drones to neutralize enemy drones before they can form a kill web. Conclusion, the giant awakens. China's tests against U.S. Navy defenses were bold, calculated, and undeniably dangerous. But history shows that when the United States is challenged in such a direct way, it responds with overwhelming force and innovation. By revealing so much of its strategy, China may have given the U.S. the very information it needs to dismantle these new threats. In the end, Beijing's attempt to intimidate could become the catalyst for an even stronger, more prepared American Navy. If war is a game of chess, China has made a daring move, but in doing so, it may have just set the board for its own checkmate. If you found this deep dive into modern naval warfare eye-opening, don't forget to share it so more people understand the stakes at play. Stay tuned for our next breakdown, where we'll uncover the hidden arms race happening beneath the ocean's surface, because the battles of tomorrow are already being planned today.